And I look out and I see all the faces. I know all the headaches we went through to get things done together, and I really appreciate it. So, back 31 years. How many of you have been here longer than 31 years? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these people deserve credit, man. They've been here longer than me. And it's quite a challenge. And poor Craig, when I came here, I gave him so much grief. He pulled me out of the fire, and I tell him he owed me for it. And I still do that every day. And poor Lee, we went through so many hard projects together. My goodness, Lee, I couldn't have done it without you. I really appreciate it. Jim, I tore up your world. And I see you over here. You know, I've tried to make my way around the room and say hi to everybody. Please make sure you stop and say hi to Robin and I before you go, because I want her to meet some of the people I work with, and you know, she can put faces to the names she's heard in the past. So I tried to think back, and bear in mind, for the past month I've kind of been digging a hole where my office is. There was a big mountain there. Many of you are familiar with that. Saw all the stuff I carried out. As I was digging through that, I found a lot of stuff that brought back a lot of memories. And, you know, some good, some not so good, a lot of laughter. And the 31 years here has really meant a lot. It's changed a lot, and it's been a big part of my life. And as I was going through it, I was trying to think, how many projects have I done here? And to be honest, I really haven't got a clue. And I was going to ask for some help. I know you guys have all done projects with me, so we'll see who's done how many projects. I'm going to do it this way. Everybody hold your hand up, okay? Like this. All right?
This is the wedding
if you've
thing.
done less than 5 projects, go ahead and put your hand up.
Less than.
Okay, it doesn't have to be exact, just kind of guess, all right? I'm trying to get a feel for it. Okay, if you've done more than, or fewer than 10 projects with me, put your hand up. Okay, got fewer hands up. Fewer than 15 projects, put your hand up. Wow. Yeah. Okay, fewer than 20 projects. Wow, getting down to a few. Okay, fewer than 25. Okay. Fewer than 30. Wow, fewer than 40.
Like you said, I don't know how many projects there were.
Okay, so were you the last one with your hand up? Okay.
Were these the projects that worked?
Am I going to get in trouble for this?
I don't know. Depends on where you use it.
Hey, Greg, will you open it up for me? I don't know if I like smoking on campus.
So let me kind of flesh out that story that Steve. So I have a peace pipe. It's a big peace pipe. I made the stem, and I can't reach it to light it. Okay, and it's got a big Raven pipe head on it, and I fill it with Kenny Connect that I got from people that go to rendezvous and such. It's got a little bit of tobacco and willow bark and bayberry and a few other things in it. And back when we were trying to get the Lab Sciences building, as it was known at that time, right in Hall now, trying to get it approved by the board, it was kind of a trying process. Lee, you may remember what a struggle that was to get that project going. But I got word that they were getting ready to approve it, so I brought my peace pipe in to celebrate. And when we got word that it was approved, Joe Ackerman and I went out in front of facilities, packed it full, and lit it up and passed it around. And I don't recall Steve coming out, but I do recall the policeman showing up. And he said to Joe and I was wearing a blue shirt and Joe was wearing a white shirt. He said he heard that 2 people were out here smoking pot. One was wearing a blue shirt and one was wearing a white shirt. And And I said we hadn't seen him. He said, okay. And I said, would you like a puff? He says, no, they'll be calling the police on me. So that's really what brought that about. And I brought that to campus one other time. I had a little disagreement with a co-worker, Delise LaCool. Some of you may know her. One winter when we got our first snow, it wasn't much snow, I went and scooped up a little bit and made a little snowball, and I went to her office. I was going to whack her with it. She wasn't in there, so I put it in her chair. And when she got back and sat down, she found what used to be a snowball. And she wasn't happy, so I brought that peace pipe in the next day, and I said, we can go out and smoke this peace pipe, or I can use it as a club. What's your choice? And she chose to go outside and smoke it. All right, so I guess I'll start with this. My three people that have been closest to me in terms of management are here today. I can't believe it, all three of my bosses. So we'll start with the first one, Mr. Rackers.
Payback is what
Yeah, it is. Mr. Rackers was a very key person in my experience here. He and I discussed many things, and I would say about 143% of the time we didn't agree. We did eventually work things out, but we typically did not agree. And I think many people will remember the door closing. It sounded like two cats in there going to town. But we grew to enjoy the things that we do, even though we don't agree, and we found ways to do things and get them done, and produce these buildings and labs and all the stuff that we did. But Steve, I did want to remember you as I leave here, and I want to leave something with you, and I have it for you right here. And what you do with it is your business. I don't recommend smoking it outside the facility. It's ticking. Okay.
Do I open this now, or?
If you would like to, please do. I noticed Craig hadn't opened his.
I don't want to cut your video.
Randy won't do it. Oh, well, Steve's opening his memento. Let's let him do so. We'll share in his joy.
I was gonna say, don't have to have a bomb sniffer now.
No, and you know what? When we had the debates and all the cops out there at the field house, they weren't worried about my pipe. They were sniffing for bombs.
It's a dark one.
Hey Frank, I could have used these a long time ago.
Oh, all the darts fell off. It had your photo stuck to it. That's been in my office for about 30 years. Notice all the dust on it? So,
There is a really small photo, and yeah, there is dust on it. Frank, your filing system, if it was in there, I never saw it.
yeah, it was on top of the wall against the column.
Behind the big plant?
Behind John's office, between John's office and mine.
That was one thing that, wow, I had a lot of hair then.
So those darts caused you to lose it. Okay, so next is Matthew Conlon. I saw him over there. So Matthew and I, we didn't have as many issues as Steve did. Matthew was kind of my English professor. When I submit contracts and resolutions and all the documents that we have to do to him for review, they come back dripping in red ink. All my misspellings, all my incorrect use of the English language. And then he moved up to Post-it notes. And my goodness, he'd use a whole crate of Post-it notes on my documents. In fact, I bought him a big old package of Post-it notes for Christmas one year because I was afraid I was using them all up. But then we grew into where he thought he was my big brother and he felt he needed to annoy me. and he put things in my office and so on and so forth. Let's see, you put a pink flamingo in my office, so I blew you up for that, didn't I? Yes. And then you painted my wall orange. And what did I do for that? I did what? I think everybody in the facilities building.
Is that the urinal tanks?
Yes.
Oh.
I put 4 of those awful stinking urinal screens in his office where he couldn't find them. And I came back from a meeting a half hour later in the back door, and I could smell it back there. And I think it was Mike Benoist met me in the hallway, said, "You got to get those out of there." I said, "No, not till he gives up." I know he found 2 of them. One of them got taped to the bottom of my vehicle, and when I stopped at Valvoline for an oil change that night, they found it. The guy in the pit came up and said, "Sir, do you know you got a urinal screen on the bottom of your vehicle?" I said, "I didn't, but I think I know where it came from. You can go ahead and dispose of it." Did you find more than 2? No? So he sat in there for weeks with that office stinking to high heaven, would not give in. He'd tell me I was number 1 every time I walked by. I suggested one time that maybe they were in the diffusers to his air conditioning, and I sat in my office, and about 10 minutes later I hear crash, and I jump up and look, he's standing on his desk with half his ceiling laying around it. Yeah, we had a good time. I bet you miss that now, don't you? But I do have a gift for you as well. Steve, did you open yours? Yes, you did. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Conlon. It's in a plain brown wrapper, and I recommend you don't smoke yours on campus either. Oh, thank you for it. We should wait and see what Matt has, don't you guys think?
Yeah.
What do you think of this, Matt?
Stand closer. It's the first retirement party I've been to that they give some guests. That's what I was thinking, Matt. It's Frank. Maybe I should go. Frank was subscribed to the Larry Downey filing system. I tried to get Ralph to come here today, but Ralph's going through some tough times right now. And that was an issue Ralph and Frank always had, was Frank's filing system. Ralph used to always get on me about getting Frank to address it. I said, "Hey, you know, you can go right to Frank. You don't have to talk to me." My thank you, Frank.
What do you got, Matt?
Truth be told, this actually came from Frank's office.
Your
Got
office.
passed around a few times.
From your office.
Yeah, that word's traveled more than we have, hasn't it? Well, Janana, we're up to you.
There's nothing to say. I have been good.
Well, come on up here.
Should I?
I feel as you do that you've been good.
Okay, good.
I don't have anything bad to say about you. We've had good experience.
Yes.
We've worked well together. I guess the only issue we ever had was when I commented on your pink shoes.
Never forgive you.
So the only thing I have for you is this little box. Don't smoke it in front of me.
I guess I'll open it too.
Okay, feel free to do so. Because I think you might be able to put it to good use.
Oh, yeah. 7? No?
Read what it says on the.
Oh, yeah.
Say that.
Attic relief.
Egg release. There you
A lot of
go.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I caused a few, but I didn't do it intentionally.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, thank
I
you.
got a little message from one of our contractors that couldn't make it today. And some of you might be able to relate to what was written here, so I thought